All right, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us and making it out on time after the lunch. Welcome to this wonderful occasion. It's a distinct honor for me, as on behalf of Global OTEC, to address you and to extend our thanks to our good partners and our colleagues under this public-private partnership and under the banner of the Global Ocean Energy Alliance, the Glo-EA, with SIDSTOC and the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, and significantly, the government of São Tomé and Príncipe, which has been the driving force. I also have the honor to recognize His Excellency, Mr. Adelino Cardoso, Minister for the Ministry of Public Works, Infrastructure, Natural Resources and Environment, who unfortunately could not be here with us today. Along with his ministry, he has been leading the development of the project to bring home Dominique to São Tomé and Príncipe. We also would like to acknowledge UNIDO for their strong support of this project and for co-hosting this event at the magical and energetic city of Vienna, which is the world's energy hub, hosted by one of SIDSTOC's most valuable partners, the government of Austria. In November 2021, as we were emerging from the COVID-19 pandemic, our first in-person engagement occurred on the margins of COP26 in Glasgow, Scotland, where São Tomé and Príncipe opened up the ocean energy frontier, heralding that small island developing states would become the major stewards for the development and deployment of ocean energy technologies. Our partners recognize the deep desire and decades of requests from small island developing states and coastal nations for an ocean thermal energy conversion project. OTEC is a well-documented technology which has seen pilot and demonstration projects over the last 10 years to de-risk its implementation and operations. To quote the world's premier energy authority, the International Energy Agency, 10 megawatts of floating OTEC is technically achievable today. Now, the year 2022 was a groundbreaking year for the introduction of OTEC, when the Global OTEC team was invited to accompany the SIDSTOC Secretariat for the first mission to São Tomé and Príncipe. Here we consulted with the government, the people, and directly engaged in discussions with blue economy stakeholders at every level, especially young people. We also undertook field studies, which confirmed that São Tomé and Príncipe has the most optimum conditions in the world for this technology. We also confirmed that the country indeed has the technical capacity to co-develop the project, and as the project expands, so will the country's capacity. Now, we're excited to present, for the first time, our latest updated concepts, which further brings Dominique to life. This is the next generation commercial scale OTEC floating platform, destined for São Tomé and Príncipe. The consultations and discussions that we held in April 2022 with the people of São Tomé and Príncipe played a major role in what Dominique would look like. Her sleek, elegant, and adaptable design is destined for other small island states and coastal nations. And this design is in line with international standards, with Lloyd's Register providing an approval in principle certificate, confirming that this offshore technology has no technical showstoppers. São Tomé and Príncipe and its partners are committed to deploying Dominique. As we all know, she is a life-changing technology for small island developing states and coastal nations. And that's why we see the pace of this project on track for success. And there is an important lesson that we want to share with investors as this public-private partnership is what has ensured the smooth undertaking of the project, the critical techno-economic studies, environment, social perspectives, has progressed to that point today. Now, this afternoon, we're going to hear from a panel of experts who are uniquely placed to speak about this project, but also other OTEC advancements happening around the world. SIDS are facing a funding gap. So is ocean energy. SIDS are large ocean states, and Sustainable Development Goal 14, conserve and sustainably use the ocean, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development, life below water, is an important SDG for SIDS. Yet I have it that funding allocations to SDG 14 globally remain lower than for any other SDG, and there are 17. The corresponding indicators show that most nations have made little progress, which can be related to a lack of capacity, funding, and commitment. Now, in this context, small island developing states are highly vulnerable and would benefit greatly from a blue economy with a paradigm shift towards ocean energy as the most SIDS-appropriate technology. OTEC holds great promise as it is viable in all small island developing states and would provide great additionality for decarbonizing the 10 gigawatts of installed diesel capacity in operation today, which needs to be replaced across SIDS-DOC's 32 countries in the next decade. Ladies and gentlemen, under the blue ocean economy, ocean energy can reduce tropical islands and coastal nations' costs, generate employment, reduce trade imbalances, and help to build their resilience as they face ongoing challenges from climate change. It's not just us talking about this. This is being recognized through increased inclusion in government energy policies, not just on small islands, but on large coastal nations. São Tomé and Príncipe has done all of the right things. And with the country's enabling environment, now is the time for development partners to step up. Support São Tomé and Príncipe and further catalyze this project from pre-feasibility to financial close. The next critical step is a seabed survey, followed by the detailed design, construction, and installation. Or as we say at Global OTEC, steel in the water, electrons in the grid. How can you support? Now, as we move to our panel discussion, I would encourage you to share your thoughts. Provoke us with your questions. We truly value your insights, opinions, and recommendations. We want you to be inspired by this project team's great work, a demonstration of a true public-private partnership that is a comfort to investors and an example for replication worldwide. We hope that this brief video brings you some inspiration on that journey. Thank you.
Generating electricity is very difficult when you're an island. You either have to import expensive diesel fuels across the world, lay solar panels all over your precious land, or rely on windy days to power wind farms. Over 600 million people living on tropical islands around the globe need electricity to power their houses, businesses, schools and hospitals. High prices, interruptions, delays and dirty fossil fuels with tons of CO2 emissions are part of the day-to-day of island people when it comes to their power generation. Islands are in a really tricky position, as global pandemics, recessions or countries at war can cause their energy prices to go from painfully high to completely unaffordable. But there is a solution: OTEC. During an average day, the 60 million square kilometres on the surface of the tropical area of the ocean absorb 1 quadrillion megajoules of solar energy. To release the same amount of energy through fossil fuels, you'd need to burn 170 billion barrels of oil. Instead of importing fossil fuels, you can extract the heat from the warm seawater surrounding your island to boil a refrigerant which can then run a generator. The deep cold water is then used to cool down the process, which runs continuously. That's how you generate electricity. With OTEC, you can generate clean energy 24/7 all year round right on your doorstep. This isn't a modern idea, and there have been some extraordinary projects which have proven the concept. So what's new? Heat exchangers, which transfer heat from one fluid to another, have gotten smaller and more efficient. There have been advancements in working at sea too. We can now build plants on small platforms which can be mass-produced at scale to meet any island's demand. These platforms are insulated to stop any noise or vibrations disturbing the marine life's peace, and several demonstrations have shown they are too small to enter the pipe's intake, but we put screens there just to be safe. And the platforms are positioned at a fair distance from the land, so the beautiful landscapes of the islands is not affected. Now what about Mother Nature? Storms cause billions of damage to islands, and the longer their power is out, the faster these costs multiply. Thankfully, we can design platforms to survive all types of weather conditions, even tropical storms. OTEC can be more reliable, more affordable and cleaner. And that's huge, considering there are over 100 territories in the world that have easy access to OTEC waters and are in need of alternatives to generating baseload power. With OTEC, they can save billions with zero CO2 emissions by simply tapping into a giant solar heat battery. So now, the question is no longer, how do we power our islands? Rather, how much power do we want?
I'd like to extend thanks to Ed Gillespie, one of the Greenpeace directors who lent his voice to that video. Now I'd like to introduce our moderator for this panel, industrial development expert and coordinator of the GenSec program at UNIDO. Please put your hands together for Martin Lugmayr.
Thank you very much. It's very difficult to speak after such inspiring speech by you and the video also, but I will try to do my best. So thank you very much. I'm the moderator of this very important side event where we're trying to discuss about the nexus between the green economy and the blue economy. There's a very strong nexus we are having, but as also the entire issue of ocean energy, it does not get really the attention it should have, basically. Like my colleague Dan already said, this side event is organized jointly by SITSTOC, by Global OTEC, by the government of São Tomé and Príncipe. We have the director here from São Tomé. And UNIDO, it's a joint event, and basically it's also organized under a Global Environment Facility and Green Climate Fund financed projects, which we are implementing in São Tomé and Príncipe. And part of this project was that we develop a national renewable energy action plan for the country, which developed the first time, because the island is dependent on diesel generation, a plan for the next 30 years to include renewable energy sources. So this plan includes concrete projects, and there are projects related to solar, there are projects related to run-of-river hydropower, and the remaining part of the base load, where we will still have diesel generation, OTEC comes as a base load generation into the picture, basically. With that, I would like just to go into a short presentation before we go into the moderating the discussion, to introduce you a bit to the Global Ocean Energy Alliance, which we are leading together with SITSTOC, the Small Island Sustainable Energy and Climate Resilience Organization. We have also the Secretary General here, Mr. El Binga. Maybe you briefly stand up also, El, to present yourself. If you have questions regarding the SITS, the small island states, he is the right person to contact. And we launched this initiative really because that there's too less attention on the oceans. There's too less attention on the oceans with regard to economic development, but also regarding climate change. So like Dan was already referring to at the COP26 and the UN Ocean Conference, which took place last year in Lisbon, it was the first time really that there was acknowledged that the ocean is the biggest carbon sink of the planet. So 60% of the carbon is stored in the oceans. 50% of the oxygen is produced by the life down in the oceans. If we don't have a functioning ocean anymore, and it's not anymore the sink, we cannot achieve our climate targets. That was the clear, strong message at COP26. And green action and climate action must also not have the color green, it must be also blue. Because also the ecosystem, the blue ecosystem is providing many services to the economy for social development and also environmental benefits. So now, just because I'm working for UNIDO, the Industrial Development Organization, the blue economy is one of the fastest growing industries you can imagine. The growth rates we have in the blue industry, they are so high, not any other sector can achieve that. And we say, by 2013, we will reach 3 trillion of global economic added value, which this industry will produce. So we have to see that also in that context, how important also the blue economy is for coastal countries and also in the global south. If you want to develop, you need to tap into your exclusive external zones. But what we're having currently a situation like the UN Secretary General at the UN Ocean Conference declared, we have an ocean emergency. So the oceans are very much under threat and they cannot stay and remain the carbon sink of the world basically, in case we continue like this. So now many countries start with merging the blue economy concepts with the green economy concepts and gradually becoming there that climate action is blue and green. And in this context, ocean energy has a very, very important role to play. But this is not acknowledged. We have also several representatives here from the private sector of the ocean energy industry. Currently, it's not acknowledged. We're facing a big challenge here. And it's the forgotten renewable energy source. Also, if you will search for some publications, even of international organizations, it's not there. Now you will see very few publications on that. So we have to change that. And we are also getting a lot of traction, let's say, from the SIDS, from the small island states. This initiative of the Global Ocean Energy Alliance is supported mainly by small island developing states. Just recently in the Pacific, the ministers of 22 Pacific Island countries, they asked us, SIDSTOC, the SPC, the Pacific community, to develop a big and roll out an ocean energy program under this alliance. Maybe to the next slide, I have it myself. Just briefly, we're not just talking about OTEC. OTEC has an important role to play, but we are talking about many ocean energy technologies. So we're talking about the traditional ones, using the ocean resources like wave, tidal, OTEC, salinity gradients, seawater air conditioning. But we're talking also about marine algae and the new emerging field of let's say, of biotechnologies also, where many SIDS can also benefit, like countries like Barbados also already look into that. But we're looking also about using marine space, offshore wind, floating PV, hybrid locations, and then not to forget the renewable energies which will serve the blue industry of shipping, ports, fishery, emerging fields like biotechnologies, as I said already, marine surveillance. Here also comes into picture the digital revolution and the fourth industrial revolution and the new digital application you will have for the blue industry. And this application needs to be powered, and you need a stable power supply for that. And there's just some advantage of ocean energy is that partly they can provide more stable and baseload capacities like OTEC, for example. So we have to look into these issues. Why we have to look into ocean energy? We have to look because many ocean energy technologies are now in the process of being rolled out, industrial rollout. Many of you know this deployment deployment ladder from research development. And many of the technologies reach now the break even. In the next 10 years, there will be industrial rollout. That means particularly the Global South needs to look now at these opportunities that they can also benefit in time. And so we see that most of those technologies will reach a technology readiness that they can be rolled out on a commercial basis, but it depends on the technology. I will not go into detail here. We also see that the LCO is going down significantly, and there are projections that it goes down to 10 to 15 cents per kilowatt hour. Basically, you're very competitive. You're competitive already today under conditions like the small islands where you compete with diesel base load. And you will be also competitive in other countries very, very soon. Let's just say where you have lower energy costs. And we have the situation that I just talked today to the wave, for the wave, some representative of the wave industry. They need a platform to go to the Global South. It just does not exist. The industry has so much interest to test their applications, to go there, to demonstrate it's feasible, viable, but they don't have a platform to go. The associations, I was told, also in Europe or something, they are just focused on Europe. They don't look at the Global South as a potential market. On the other hand, we have the small island states, and we have coastal developing countries. We want to look into this technology, no? We want to be part of that revolution and transformation, but there is no platform. So this is the reason why SITSTOC created this platform now through the Global Ocean Energy Alliance, and we are supporting them here from UNIDO side. So basically what we need is, what we want to do is with this Global Ocean Alliance, create a platform between the industry and the science, which is mainly in the global north, you have to say, with the interest of the SITS or coastal communities in the Global South, and then connect it to finance, because here we had a major issue. Most of the funding currently available is dominated for the global, is research and development money first, and it's dominated for the global north. It's Europe, it's US, it's Japan, it's the industrialized countries. There's no funding instrument in bringing financing and testing what the industry wants to do in the Global South. Even the climate instrument, we're having a big discussion currently also in the context of the OTEC project in São Tomé, which of the financing instruments could de-risk, help us to de-risk the investment in São Tomé. So basically we have now a situation that we have venture capitalists which invest in this project, but we are facing challenges that those institutions which were created to de-risk, they say to us, but this was not demonstrated. We say it was demonstrated. It was demonstrated in the industrialized countries. It's operating already since many years there. So we are facing this challenge currently, and we want to bridge that and advocate for these new technologies, because we need to do it. So the GLOA Secretariat is located at SITSTOC in Belize, and we help also to roll out this alliance through our global network of regional sustainable energy centers. Over the past 10 years, we created renewable energy and energy efficiency promotion centers entirely in the Global South, and these centers are the official agencies of the economic communities. So together with them, we will try to roll out this ocean energy program and then see to create economies of scale, South-South and triangular cooperation, joint learning together with the industry. I will not go into detail of benefit because we have to proceed, but there are many benefits. I think Dan already tapped on some of them. I would like to thank you for your attention to this presentation, and now I would like to turn to our distinguished speakers. First, Mr. Gabriel Makengo. Maybe you come just up. He is the Director of Energy in São Tomé and Príncipe, a small island in Central Africa. We have Benjamin Martin. He is the Secretary General of the Ocean Thermal Energy Association. He is not here with us, but he is here by online means in Japan, where he is also operating an OTEC plant in Japan with many end users since many years. Then we have Mr. Peter McCall. He is a venture capitalist, a lot of experience with venture capital, with business angels, and so on. He is supporting Global OTEC in this adventure, exciting adventure. He will tell us why he invests, why he takes the risks, but some financing instruments don't take the risk at that moment, which were created for doing so. Then we have Mrs. Christine Neves Duncan. It's a special honor to have you here. From Jamaica, and original Capo Verde, let's say, yeah. And Christine is the project director with Sitstock together, and she's also heading the I1, the gender initiative of the Islands. Then we have also online Mr. Shao Almeida. Yeah, he's here with us. He's with Aqualogos, so basically he is contracted from our side to do the environmental and social impact assessment for this OTEC plant. And then, you know already, Mr. Dan Gregg. So with that, I would like to ask the first speaker, we have Gabriel, right, to give his presentation.
Thank you, Martin. Will be not a presentation, but okay. First of all, I want to thank UNIDO for this event, side event, and of course, Sitstock also is present, and our company, Global OTEC, and everyone that's involved in this project also together with the São Tomé and Príncipe government. Energy is a small issue for São Tomé. We are Iceland, of course, and we need to solve so much problem that we have with the energy, electricity in particular. In this case, on behalf of the Minister of Energy, allow me to say some things about the energy in São Tomé and Príncipe. And of course, we'll align with this side event, of course, the Global OTEC that we have discussed today and present for special and distinguished invitation here. São Tomé, for energy that we talk about emissions on the side of the climate change, we have around 80% the emissions come from the generations. Why they come generation? Because we have only around 7% installed in capacity for renewable energy. And we will talk about available is around 10%. And these are around hydro, small hydro, and like first project, pilot project that we have now with another partnership for PV. So that's a total 10 megawatt, 10% in our network. And this is a very expensive process for government to expend the money to buy every year around $20 million to buy diesel. So this is a case that we, all this idea with the Global OTEC, and we joined with us on another project that we have also, as Martin told you, hydro and the PV system, but we need to explore all opportunities that we have in the country. And inside our policy is clear that we have all this potential, so we need to go ahead with this idea and implement. Of course, we need the support, financial support to do it. In this case, to attain this challenge, we need to catch up this money when we implement the electricity clean electricity for people in general São Tomé. And this money will return for health, for education, for road, for all the things that will be very important also for the country. And specifically to talk about OTEC technology, why we joined this process is very important because our location is clear and was presented during the presentations, those done presentations. So the maritime territory that we have is under 60 times surface, land surface that we have. So why not use it? Why not use it? So that's the idea that we agree this process, and then the government agree this process, and we start this process in the last year, and we will conclude this process with all involved in this project. So it's very important when we can reduce the dependence from diesel. As I told you, it's very expensive for country. And of course, in the same time, when we are fighting to climate change, it's very important to remove this technology. All these things depend about the situation, real situations in the country. We are an island, so we need to guarantee the load, the base load. And in that case, the electricity come from OTEC is very important for this part. That's what we agree, and it's like 100% for this project. And all these things to join for education, we are talking about the capacity, is not only to bring the technology to country, and without the capacity, local capacity people. That I can say, like a wrap up for all these things, this project will be very important for São Tomé, and I hope for my side and the side from my ministry, and of course the government, we will do all things will be possible to implement it, to come to this project in São Tomé and Príncipe. Thank you.
Muito obrigado. So now we turn to Benjamin Martin for his intervention online. Benjamin, you're here?
Yes, hello.
Ah, hello. You're closer to the sea than we. Okay.
Okay. So thank you very much. My name is Benjamin Martin. I'm the Secretary General of the Ocean Thermal Energy Association. But today I'll be telling you more about my daily job. So I'd like to show you my office, if possible, which is the Ocean Thermal Energy OTEC demonstration facility located in Japan. It's looking like the screen may not be sharing correctly. Restart. Sorry for the technical difficulties here.
So we can see your
Okay,
screen.
so I'm just going to keep going. Great. So from Japan, where I'm located here on Kimijima, we have a demonstration facility that's been in operation for more than 10 years. It's connected to the grid, it produces power, and it uses actual surface and deep sea water located in the Okinawa Prefecture Deep Sea Water Research Center. Since 2016, we've also been using that water in post-OTEC industries for agriculture, and other uses, and demonstrating that very successfully. The core of the technology that we've been demonstrating is our heat exchangers, which are the same size we plan to use for future installations. And so we've been able to gain data over long-term operation and maintenance based on the size that can be directly applied to other installations. So when we talk about the ability to increase OTEC, scalability and reliability, we know that we can do that. Okay, so we're going to go back up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ben.
Ask you to share on your side. So we know that we can use our OTEC facility both for 1 megawatt to 10 megawatt sizes just by increasing the number of panels per heat exchanger and then increasing the number of units. So it's a modular approach that enables us to accurately expand. And so based on the successive demonstration of this technology here on Kumijima, the local government has been able to apply that to its energy vision. So Kumijima town government in 2020 looked at its future and said, how are we going to address the issue that all of the islands around the world are addressing in terms of changing from diesel power. Kumijima has about 10 megawatts of average power demand, peak power demand is about 5 megawatts of average. So it's a very small area in Japan, where a 1 megawatt OTEC facility would apply about 15% of the power generation necessary and allow us to offset the diesel power generation that's currently on the grid. That also allows us to increase the amount of renewable energy in terms of solar by reducing the minimum demand required for the turbine generators that are in operation. So if we can reduce one of the turbine generators from diesel and replace it with OTEC, that means that we can actually bring more other renewables on the grid as well. And so for Kumijima, they looked at a variety of different renewables and brought those into a focus on OTEC. And that's become the centerpiece of their renewable energy plan for the future. You could advance the slide one more. One more, please. Great. So this is the kind of the image that Kumijima town has developed is if we can bring even just 1 megawatt onto the local grid in an onshore facility, it'll bring down the diesel power necessary throughout the day significantly, about 15% of the entire island's needs. But then this also allows us to increase more renewable energy on the grid, such as solar and battery. The next slide, please. So then this also led to its vision for actually achieving carbon neutrality by 2035. And that's with 6 megawatts of OTEC, including onshore and offshore. By replacing diesel with the OTEC as a baseload power, it allows other technologies like solar and batteries and EV to then offset the rest of the island's energy needs. And this isn't just for our sector, this is for the whole island's energy, including transportation. And so OTEC can be a game changer in terms of enabling stable renewable energy supply for small island grids. Its reactive power means that it's pushing power through the grid so it can support other renewable energies without increasing the costs of those maintenance and operations. And so that's a very quick introduction. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties here, but I look forward to the discussion and answering any questions in the future.
Thank you very much, Benjamin. I think what you have seen, a unique feature of this technology is also that you just don't produce base load, but you need also for these variable renewable energy sources, other sources to balance them out. But you have also other end uses. You can use it, like nutrition for aquaculture, for example, desalination. So there are quite many end uses. So with that, we're coming now to Mr. Peter McCall.
Good afternoon, ministers, ladies, gentlemen, and esteemed colleagues. I've spent the last 25 years of my career thinking about and investing in ventures that were in the environment. 25 years ago, we didn't have the terms climate tech. We didn't know anything about carbon mitigation. We've come a long way. To have a group of people that are willing to talk about it and be in Vienna to discuss it. Obviously, Austria has been talking about this for a long time. As a matter of fact, the first company that I invested in and wound up owning a big chunk of was technology that came out of Austria. So they really have been involved in a long time. I was in the battery business, thinking that the mitigation risk for intermittency was something that was very important to the market. You had to if you're going to have solar and you're going to have wind, they don't always blow and they don't always shine when you want them to. I found out, after building a pretty successful company, that it's essentially a pop gun in the face of a tiger. The amount of energy that's required to actually bring solar and wind onto our grids, and this includes the United States, which I gather has a terawatt of wind electricity that's feathered right now. It doesn't operate. So they're trying to figure out what to do with it, and what I think they'll do with it is generate ammonia with it. But that's, something that we'll see what happens. An interesting part of investing in this business has been that there's a tension between the fossil fuel industry and our carbon mitigation industry. And the idea that big and powerful companies are capable of spending lots of money to tell people things that are not necessarily true. We will wind up losing our interest in making those investments. So you put money down on the table, betting on a technology. It rides up for a while during certain administrations, and then at least in the US, it can stop. It makes it more difficult to be invested in this sort of thing. That's because what's required is support. There is not one of these technologies that I know of that hasn't been supported by government in the beginning. The wind industry was supported by the Danes in their offering of a important, no, that's not true, according to the man out there. I was presuming Vestas had put that together. The solar energy industry had technology that was put together, and then manufacturing capability was funded by the Chinese. And they took an old technology and made it economic, and that's why. So there's government support behind all of these things, and the offering of UNIDO and of the Green Climate Fund and of the Green Environmental Fund to put together a structure so that these barges can be built and built in sequence. The idea that you can use thermal energy to turn an axle, once you turn an axle, you can do pretty much what you need to do. There are terawatts of electricity that are lying under the water in the form of heat. You can produce large or small amounts. I believe that the business plan that's been put together by Global OTEC to build small amounts and build up to having larger amounts of base load for the islands is really the most efficacious method of building the thing. And that you can not only make money for Global OTEC, be able to support whatever bond structure you put together or equity structure you put together to build one of these things, but you also can be of tremendous benefit to the economy of São Tomé or to any of the other island nations that you can bring things to. The legislation, the willingness of participants to offer support, the technology that is being sort of uncovered, the fact that it is making this jump between the academy, so as a science, and making that jump up to actually being a commercialized product is what led me to the investment as being something that I was very interested in. As an investor in the top co, I also am interested in how you would go about using structured financing to build each one of the individual pieces. That also goes across to the other parts of a program where you would be building sea motion, or you'd be building whatever, the various ways of turning an axle such that you can desalinate water, you can create energy, you can create green hydrogen, you can make ammonia, you can produce many, many things. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, Peter. I think you tapped on a very important point, and that is that somehow now ocean energy is at the point where PV was 20, 25 years ago, exactly a similar situation. And what was how it worked? It was that you replicate, you demonstrate, you replicate, you demonstrate, you demonstrate, replicate, until it's commercialized. And we are in a similar situation. With that, I would like to hand over to Christine from Cabo Verde.
Bom dia. Thank you, Martin. I am not going to take any time and speak about the technology. This thing is 100 years old, and it's already proven. I'm going to take the time to explain to you why SIDS-DOC is involved and who we are. SIDS, Small Island Developing States. DOC, we're a docking station for islands to come for technology transfer assistance, public awareness and education, carbon credits, everything that we need, most importantly, financing. We were created in 2017. Take a look at our logo. What do you see? A ship in the ocean, windmills, solar, everything. We're ocean people. SIDS occupy the oceans. We're large ocean states. Based on that alone, we're 16 times the size of the European Union, or EEZ, economic zones. Now, Dominique was in our minds from 2013. We didn't know what she looked like. We didn't know where she'll be. We didn't know how she will be built. Global OTEC came into our space as a partner, and we embraced them. And we are grateful to São Tomé and Príncipe for stepping up, because the most important thing about São Tomé and Príncipe, it's close your eyes, think of the best marriage in the world that lasts forever and ever. That's the partnership that we have formed between us, Global OTEC, SIDS-DOC, UNIDO, and other partners. I'm just here today to encourage not our investors from the private sector, but for the countries, the development banks, who need to recognize that your mission is not to be a commercial bank. Your mission is to help the countries develop their infrastructure so that they can progress. We're also interested in OTEC because it provides baseload power, that's power 24/7, all the time. And in addition to that, we're able to get two of the most important things to secure our SIDS: water security and food security. Additionally, because in the SIDS, 50% of our population is 30 years and under. So that's our target, the young people. So we're looking at the blue economy and the blue skills that are going to be required to drive this blue economy and to take Dominique to the next level. I am here to say again, development banks, reclaim your souls, come back into the space where you're supposed to be, and support every single GenSec that is starved of financing. And I'm probably going to be inappropriate, but I would like to say to the GEF and GCF, we welcome you, and we hope you will entertain our bankable proposals, because every single GenSec has a bankable proposal waiting. Thank you.
So thank you very much for this strong statement. We now go back to Dan. João, we forgot João. Sorry, João. Todo bem?
Yes, okay. Are you able to
Yes, we have some.
hear me correctly?
We have, you have 3 minutes, then we have.
Okay, I'll make them enough. So, good afternoon, and thank you for the invitation. I'm speaking on behalf of Aqualogos. We were contracted by UNIDO to make a scoping exercise of what should the environmental and social impact assessment of Dominique be. This is to say, the challenge is the technology, as said before, is old enough, is mature enough. There are some examples of operating facilities. However, none of those were submitted to a formal environmental social impact assessment procedure. So our challenge is to find how should we assess this facility, because it is undoubtedly a renewable energy. Our goal is to find out if it's really environmental sustainable. So we have done thorough literature analysis of what's available on the technology and its environmental impacts. We have also done expert consultation with everyone that knows anything about this technology. We are now at this stage on stakeholder consultation, trying to reach as many people in São Tomé and otherwise that can share with us their concerns and their expectations. And we will finish by the end of this year with the terms of reference for what should the environmental social impact assessment of this Dominique platform be. It will include which data to use, which secondary data are available, which primary data are absolutely necessary, what are the main risks, what are the main expected impacts, and how should we ensure the follow-up of the environmental performance of the technology. So we are not doing the environmental and social impact assessment, we are just preparing it. And from our perspective and this journey that we began in the summer and we are very pleased to be taking, it seems quite promising from an environmental perspective. The impacts don't seem at this stage to be that huge, and all of them, or the vast majority of them, will for sure be mitigable. So I will not take you more time. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Sounds promising. So here also with this assignment, as OTEC, it was demonstrated there are plans around, but to create a market and an industry for the future, we need to think about the quality infrastructure and the standards. So also this assignment is contributing in defining a standard protocol, how you do environmental and social safeguards for the future OTEC industry. So with that, I hand over to Dan, and he will just also conclude the event. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Martin. I'm going to give you a 60-second overview on the techno-economics of an OTEC plant. Thanks to the existence of OTEC plants that are operational in the world, we're able to use software to model and guide the specifications of how to design an OTEC plant using existing off-the-shelf technology. And what's remarkable is the levelized cost of energy of the first-of-a-kind system is super sensitive to the cost of capital. If we're doing this using commercial money, then we are really unable to provide a competitive proposition versus diesel. Though if we are able to access the many billions of concessional finance and grants and debt, which is available to the mostly commercial technologies like solar and wind, we can cut the diesel cost, for the levelized cost using diesel with OTEC by around 50%. Now, I'm sure you'll agree this is a transformational proposition for 32 small island developing states who have 10 gigawatts of installed diesel capacity, which needs to be replaced. In respect to the colleagues who are next, I won't take any longer. Thank you very much for your attention and patience as we had some technical issues. And we welcome any questions next door over a beer and a wine. Thank you.
We closed even earlier. We have still 30 seconds.